Just feed me coasters. And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Angriest Man in Orlando. It's New Year's Eve, and we're here on a Tuesday. And I don't think I need these right now, so we'll go with that. And want to thank everyone for tuning in. Okay, we're not getting any feedback there. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's going to be a fun, exciting episode. Got the good camera here, at least for the beginning of the show. We'll see how long it goes, and we'll go from there. All right, everyone. It is that time of year to start thinking about the future while also appreciating the past. So let's go with that. Let's start off with that. We appreciate everyone showing up for tonight's show. I want to thank you for throughout the year liking, viewing, following me, sharing my video. Thank you everyone for doing that. It helped me out a lot to see who was actually viewing the videos and who was going through stuff. So thank you for all of that. You guys pulled me through. Thank you. So, it's New Year's in certain parts of the world. Most of Europe has already crossed over, and Happy New Year to Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia. And we've just got North America, South America to go through. So let's say hi to everybody out there watching, wherever you are tonight. I can't even begin to name the cities that are going to be watching and celebrating tonight. And yes, I will be drinking through most of this to just stay hydrated. So, what do we get in store for tonight's show? Well, we're going to do a retrospect of the year. We'll see how things went. Some predictions I got. Let's just say I got most of them right. I won't even go into them. No, we don't even want to do that on tonight's show. A lot of this is just going to be looking back and then looking forward. Let's see what 2025 looks like from here. We can use this as a marker to see what we got right, what I got wrong, and we just go from there. But this is the last show of 2024, and I have quite a bit to say on that later on in the show. So stay tuned for that. It's just after 9 o'clock on the East, 6 o'clock on the West. Now, imagine this is not going to be a very, very viewed show. I think most people probably are getting ready to go out on the East Coast, West Coast, eating dinner, maybe going out for dinner. So I'm not expecting a huge audience for this show, but to those of you that sit around and do watch it, thank you very much for watching it. I'm going to say that quite a bit on today's show. And I'll simply explain it like this. I'm in the YouTube atmosphere and Rumble atmosphere. And I've noticed that a lot of the vloggers and channel people are starting to get a little bit above their pay grade with some stuff. And, amazingly, not everyone likes that kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to be, you know, a celebrity or Mr. Know It All or any of that stuff. I have some takes on stuff, and sometimes I get them right, sometimes I get them wrong. And I kind of just wanted to do this channel because there was a lot of anger at the time that I started this channel. I started this channel back in July of last year, 2023, as somewhere where people could vent and talk about things that they were angry about. Now, that included the things that I was angry about. And it got a lot of traction in the beginning. And since that point, has garnered some following here and there, but hasn't really taken off too well. And so I'm going to kind of simplify this show to make it just about you guys, about what you want to talk about. Uh, throw some stuff in the chat. We'll get into that. How things affect you and where things go for you. Um, because honestly, at this point, I'm not really angry. A lot of stuff is changing right now, and it's changing for the good. And some people don't particularly like that because it is going to stop them from pursuing what they want to pursue. But I think for the most part, for the long-term goals of everything, we're moving in a good direction right now. We have a lot of stuff that's progressing through. There's some BS getting thrown around, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I think behind the walls, things are getting maneuvered to where things can be really good going forward. So, as that relates to me, I'm not really the angriest man in Orlando anymore. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some angrier people out there than me. And that's given me a lot of time over the holiday to think about where do we want to go with this channel and what do we do with it. And so I won't spoil yet, but I'll explain in greater detail what's going to happen as we get closer to the end of this show. Now, I had planned on keeping this going till about midnight, but certainly if there's not an audience for it, I probably going to wind it up and go enjoy stuff for myself. And that's something I had to think about too. Um Enjoying time. Like I think it's great that you can come and sit and watch, or maybe you're just listening. But certainly I think this is a moment where you want to enjoy your own time. I don't know if you really want to be watching me or listening to me or anything. Go go see some fireworks. Go have some fun. Go do some stuff. If you can't because, your drone shows got canceled, we'll talk about that in a minute. Or there just isn't anything going on, then feel free to pull up a chair. Let's have a chat. Let's talk. And let's see where we go from here. So, yeah, let's break into that one story real quick. The drone shows I have heard from New York City to Texas are being shut down. They were facilitated by a company called Sky Entertainment, I believe. And that company was the company that was running the drone show here in Orlando on Christmas or around Christmas. And they still haven't figured it out. The FAA is still doing an investigation on this. And what it seems to have been was one drone may have lost connection, knocked into another one, which then created a cascading effect of every drone losing signal and knocking itself out of the formation. And unfortunately, a child was hit. He was, from what I read and heard from his mom, he was a bit underdeveloped. He was, born early, premature, and wasn't quite developed. So it wasn't just a regular kid got hit with a drone. This was a kid who, was maybe on lacking full full it was tough the way she kind of just said like he wasn't fully developed. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't really know what she quite meant by that, but it did slam him in the face. So if you could imagine yourself getting hit by a 250 plus pound linebacker from the NFL, that's the effect. You're going to be knocked out. You're going to be out for a while. And he actually had to have open heart surgery done on him. And he is out of the hospital as of today. He's going home. He does look like he is going to make a recovery. So that's good. Um, Certainly, you don't want to see a tragedy like you take your kid to a drone show and your kid dies. Like, you don't want that. So that's the extent of that. But the FAA did pull the license from that entertainment company. So therefore, they had to um, basically cancel a lot of their shows, including a couple around here. What was it? One was at a Marriott, and I believe the other was at Universal, where they canceled the shows with the drone effects in them. I believe they'll still probably do some old old school fireworks, you know, and hopefully who's ever out there can still have a little bit of fun on New Year's Eve. So, no drone shows for a bit. It's been really weird, really funky. We've had a couple plane crashes over the last week. We've had drones miscommunicating. Skies are not friendly right now, folks, so that's not the greatest thing to be dealing with right now. The FAA is pretty much on overtime right during this time of the year as they try to figure everything out and go from there. So, uh, there we go. Tell me that's in January. Alright. Boom, boom. So, I guess we could start getting into it. What was 2024? Um, I started the year in a completely different place, at a completely different part of my life, I guess. And close to everything changed. Close to everything changed. So, not sure how your year went, but a lot of things got changed in 2024. Um, Certainly, if you were at the beginning of the year, you were looking at it, you were probably seeing things not going very well for you. They didn't get a lot better in some aspects. Uh, we had trying to remember what I talked about at the end of last year. Uh, in retrospect, looking back at it, I think I said a lot of this was going to be a political year. There were a lot of parliaments and presidents and prime ministers that were going to be up for election this year. And as I look through the events of this year that just passed, that was a lot of it. There were a lot of them, and I'll go through them really quickly. I won't, like, break down who was in it or anything, but just so you can get a sense of, like, the the world leadership was changing, and in a sense, the world was going to change because of it. You're not gonna have the same leaders with the same principles, and things, uh, may get a little confusing. You're used to dealing with one country in a certain way, and now you're dealing with a totally different way. And so we'll go through that. I had mentioned economically that, you know, there weren't going to be any interest rate drops till about September. We got that September drop, then we got one in November and December. And we're looking at them pausing to kind of wait and see what happened from there. And then next year may look like a slight drop, depending on how the world economy goes and how the reactions to possible tariffs will go from there. So, you know, you're not going to see the drastic low rates that everyone thought was coming. It's just it's not going to happen as quickly as you think it's going to happen. And we're going to be looking at possibly just a stagnant economy. Like, you know, things are things are going in a rough patch right now. A lot of companies still closing down. We've got layoffs to go through in the first quarter of next year. And for the people that are going through it, no, what I just said is complete BS because you have a terrible year. You're losing your job. You don't know what you're going to do. You're going to have to go collect unemployment till you can find another one. So it is going to be rough. And again, I'll state this for 25. I think it's still going to be rough even into the spring and summer of next year. I think probably midway through the year is when you'll start seeing things kind of shift, and you'll see a bit of confidence back into the business world. And so if you're hurting, I feel for you. I've been in that position before. You've got to just hold on. You did survive till 25 if you're still here, but even going into 25, it's going to be a little rough and it's going to be tough. But I was right about this year. I'd take the advice upon next year and see where you go. If you're looking to buy a house, beginning of the year was actually a better time than it is at the end of the year. Holy cow. So beginning of the year, you were looking at around the 6.5% for a 30-year mortgage. And right now it's a little over 7%. And the reason for that is people are unsure. People are unsure what's going to happen with the new administration. People are unsure what's going to happen with other governments and countries interacting with us. So when things are not sure, you don't want to go buy. You don't want to spend your money. And what happens with that is it pushes the bonds, what they call yields, which is basically the percentage that they're going to pay you back for the country loaning money from you, and so they have to push those up. And the mortgage rates are based off of specifically the 10-year bond. So if you want to look up rates because you're buying a home in the spring or you plan on buying a home in the summer, just go and watch the 10-year bond and see where that yield is. If that yield's in the 4% or higher, it's going to be a high interest rate for your mortgage. If it comes down to under 3.9% or lower, then you're going to get a little bit of relief on the mortgage rates, and you'll see that it might be a better time to hold off and wait. For at least the South and West, there is still a flood of homes coming to market, specifically new homes, and they cannot get rid of these things right now. So they are offering insane buy downs on your rate. Uh, Basically, they could probably get you down to like 4%, 3% on a mortgage rate, depending on how stressed that builder is to get rid of that home. And so, if you can afford it, you might want to go. If you can't afford it, just hang on and wait. I'm probably gonna do another year where I'm at. I rent, and it's probably better renting right now until you see where the mortgage rate goes. Um, just saw a survey that said that I believe 38% of mortgages, their monthly payment is at least 50% of it simply insurance and taxes. So that's your property taxes, that's your homeowner's insurance, where 50% of the payment is just going to that. So the mortgage payment is extremely high, but the actual money owed for the house is not that high. So if we wait and see, maybe, property taxes go down because property values go down, you'd be able to get a lower mortgage price. So your every monthly mortgage rate will be a bit lower and a bit better. So it won't be so bad, hopefully. Um, but yeah, what else did I talk about? Our main three topics, which politics, kind of me, and dating. Dating world, I think, is actually coming out to a better spot than we started the year. And a lot of this is based on just talking to people, going into chat groups and talking with people on there and figuring out where people feel about it. I mean, I can't be in every bar and lounge around the country to be like, oh, this one's got great, dating for men here, and this one's got great dating for women here, and this one's got great old people here, and this one's got the young crowd here. I can't do that. I don't have the resources to do that. So, what do I do next? I just talk to people and figure out what's going on. I talk to young people, I talk to older people, I see where the feeling of everyone are. And it started slow, but it's building up momentum where a lot of men are checking out of the whole thing, and they're simply not going on dates. A lot of them might be men sitting at home right now saying, "Heck it, I'm just gonna sit and watch the fireworks at home, or I'm gonna sit out on my patio and drink a beer and hang out and watch it, and I'm not gonna go out. I'm not gonna bother going out." And I've also seen, because of that, a lot of bars are now closing. A lot of entertainment places are closing, and they're scaling back. And if I can go off on a tangent for a minute, one of the problems we had here in Orlando was the orange drop. Now, what is the orange drop? So, if you watch the New York City one, I believe they used to drop an apple, but I think they just dropped this light up ball from Times Square. So You count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and this ball slowly comes down. Well, for years, it's about 20 or 30 years, Orlando was doing it with an orange because Florida, it's the citrus capital, and we had the orange ball dropping. The and this would happen on Church Street here in Orlando, Florida for years. And well, it wasn't going to happen this year. And I blame more the city than anything, but here's where this all fits together. So you have a dating scene that's going down. You have bars and pubs that were having to pay higher fees for security. And you slowly started seeing some violence come into the city. Wasn't too bad, but it was just enough there to rile people up. So the several bars that ran the orange drop, they actually just closed recently. So they were not going to do the orange drop. So this is what I mean when I say, hey, all you got to do is look around and talk to people, and you will find out what's going on in the world pretty quickly. And this is the point of guys are checking out. I've already said it a few times this year. The smart money is out of dating. Like the smart people who make a shit ton of money, they're not dating. Okay, they're, they're doing the little hookups and stuff, and meeting with people who are just wanting to latch on them for the money, but they're not actually dating right now. They're out of the market right now. And you can see because a lot of these places were higher end places, cover charges and high end drinks and all that stuff. And so several of the bars closed. So the Orange Ball actually got moved to a different part of the downtown area called Thornton Park. They are still going to do it. But I think it's going to show you that not as many people are going out anymore as they were. People are dialing it back either for necessity or they're just voluntarily doing it. And so you're not having the nightlife and excitement that you have. And in fact, I actually hear fireworks going off not too far from me. And I'm not anywhere near a downtown area. I'm actually out in the sticks, we'll say. So people are staying home. People are not going out. The dating market is actually changing. And a lot of women are now realizing that, oh, shoot, there's a lot of guys missing from this stuff. A lot of the dating meetings, those speed dates, coffee dates, whatever they were really trying to hunt for guys to come in because they were having a lot more women show up than men. And I think now the situation is dire enough to where people are paying attention to this and they're starting to realize and the smarter ones are going to adjust. You got flexible and you got to adapt to new situations. And so now it's not so much simply just going out and meeting someone or going online and meeting someone. You may now have to like really try to find people to find where to actually go out and meet somebody. So that has changed throughout the year. And again, I think it's actually changing for the better. You had years prior where women were pretty much getting their pick with the guys, and we saw where that went into absolute catastrophe because a lot of guys weren't getting picked. So when you had guys who could pick the women, they were they weren't being as selective. They were, running the field and choosing based on who they thought. So I think we're kind of getting back to that spectrum where you're going to see a lot of guys leave A lot of women are gonna be like, "What do we do?" And that's when you're gonna see it become more even in the field of, well, maybe I should just find someone on my level. And that's where it's slowly starting to go there, and I think it'll keep it'll keep going. You can't have a pendulum in either side. You gotta have it towards the middle, or stuff just doesn't work. You know, it just doesn't work at all. So, we're getting there with that. So those were the main 3 topics that we go through throughout the year and talk about and go from there with the fun stuff. Yeah. So, another thing I wanna touch on with the dating thing is something I noticed also was the atmosphere of dating. And, I hear the question, "Well, what's wrong with dating?" And so many people say, "Well, you've got too many choices. You got too many apps, you got too many places to meet people. There's just too much choice. That's the problem with what's going on in dating world." And actually, I don't think that's correct anymore. I think it started with that, where people were waiting and trying to see if they got something better, or they could, meet somebody else after that swipe or whatever. And I think that was the point that was going on, uh, mm, maybe 5, 10 years ago. From basically 2016 to 2021, that was kind of what the problem was. 22 and 23, I think it started shifting, because that's when you started seeing like the higher end guys just not dating. They were just having flings and doing whatever. And women were kind of just like, oh, well, I can have a roster and I can have a couple guys and I'll get a little from something, get a little from this something, and a little from that something. And they were just, you know, that was the having too much. But now, with not that much being out there, I think the problem now is when you're going into the date, you're only trying to win the date. You're not trying to win the relationship. So it's basically you're winning the battle, but you're losing the war. And I think it's going on both sides, because I do see men do this a lot too. They try to just get what they can get out of it, and then they're out. They're done. So what it is you're trying to win the date. You're trying to get the most out of the date versus trying to see how it could be long term. And when you're looking at it more long term, you can give up a little bit. You could sacrifice a little bit in the beginning, because you'll hopefully get it back at the end. When you're trying to win the date, you're trying to get everything up front. So, in the instance of dating the girl, she's trying to figure out, can he get me everything I want? Can I get as much as I can out of this date? Can we go as many places as we can? Can I see as much as I can about him that I need to know? And as quickly as possible, we got to figure this all out. And it's almost identical in the other way with, you know, can I see what this girl's all about? Do I know what she will give up for me? And how quickly can I get it? And those are the attributes to trying to win the date. How quickly can I get it? Can I get everything all at once? And can I see what's it all about? Now, when you're winning the relationship, I think you're stepping back and you're letting things be a little bit of a mystery. You don't let everything out in the beginning. So, And I know people are gonna say, "Well, don't you wanna know everything right off the bat so you can disqualify this person?" I mean, if you think there's something terrible, certainly ask about it, but that's the fun of being in a relationship, or at least dating in a relationship, is getting to know, taking the time. If you're really serious about dating, then it's not gonna matter if you're with them for a day or a month or a year. You're trying to find out if this person is right. And so you wanna let things flush out. People can change, you know, they may have had several bad dates before, so they're going in with somewhat of an attitude. And then once they see you're not the same person, they may actually change and loosen up a little. So I think that's why you should kind of leave things in mystery, especially on the first date. I mean, certainly ask serious questions, try to get somewhat of a sense of what's going on, but if you think it's going good, leave things as a mystery, entice. And I think that's how you'll get better at winning the war. And it'll be so much better at what you do. So that I just wanted to take a few minutes and go over because I think it'll help some people going forward with that. All right, so let's get into the year that was 2024 and let's go through this and see how far we get. I'm not going to go over every little detail that happened, but certainly I'll try to bring up some of the stuff that might have been a a big thing, might have been something that we touched on throughout the year, and then we can go from there and see what's going on. Okay, so let's see. January was a meh month. It it wasn't super crazy or anything. Let's see. We had a 7.5 magnitude earthquake off the west coast of Japan. That was not good. Uh, let's see. The Marshall Islands had a general election, and that's something we're going to see a lot. A lot of general elections that happened. Um, the Bangladesh general election happened in January. Taiwanese presidential election. A lot of elections were happening this year. A lot of things were changing. A lot of things were moving around. Iran carried out a series of missile and drone strikes within Pakistan. So that was a back and forth that was happening at the time there that you may not have heard about. Japan becomes the fifth country to achieve a soft landing on the moon with its SLIM mission. So 5 countries landing on the moon. Japan became one of them. And that was about it for January. Yeah, this whole year was kind of meh. You kind of expected most of what happened, and so it wasn't too surprising there. For February, more general elections. Finland, Indonesia, a lot of general elections, man. I don't think anything else was going on in February. Madam Web was out in February, which was a horrible movie. Even the cast didn't like being in it, so there was that going on. Not the greatest beginning to a year, I gotta say that. March led us into Sweden joining NATO, Portuguese elections, Haiti started breaking down, and the gang started taking over. And I can tell you right now, it is still not a great place to go to. There's still a lot of gang violence down there in Haiti, and it's going to take a miracle to figure out what is going on with that country because they're in trouble. They're in some big trouble. Um, the Artificial Intelligence Act was passed by the European Union. Yes, AI became big this year. It not only made a lot of companies a lot of money, it also brought to us the ideas of what the future could be. You know, I know for a while over the last couple of years, it was kind of like, the future doesn't look that great. There's no flying cars, there's no teleportation devices, there's no magical machines that are gonna do everything for us. Like, it really didn't seem like that was going to happen. Then AI got brought up, and AI became the buzzword to everything. It could solve everything. You needed to finish your homework, AI could do it. You needed to know what to say to your date, AI could do it. You needed a resume that would blow the boss away, AI could do it. You needed machines to run Taco Bell and McDonald's, AI could do it. You needed self-driving cars, AI could do it. You needed fake videos of your enemies, AI could do that. So AI became this force of it can be the future. It can be anything you want it to be. And while that sounded all great, then the thoughts of Terminator came up, and people thought AI is gonna take over. They're gonna believe we're not as sophisticated as them, and they're going to eradicate humans on Earth, and it's just going to be an absolute mess. So things like the Artificial Intelligence Act, the first comprehensive legal and regulatory framework for artificial intelligence, started being brought up by governments around the world, and the EU actually passed one act to try to control AI. And believe me, the government wants it. Government wants to control it. They want their foot on it. So if you see companies who are like, "Yeah, we're gonna run AI," no, you're gonna get a watered down milk toast version of AI for you, but the governments are they've got the heavy duty AI, the ones that could do pretty much everything. And if you don't think AI is anything special, if you think, "Oh shoot, that's just computers," do some YouTube searching on it. Look up what AI could be. It's really crazy. But I'll say this, it's only gonna be as powerful as whoever programs it. So whoever opens this box up and programs it, that's what it's going to be. I think it's a learning computer. Yes, it can access all the information in the world, but in order to process all of it, it needs the code to be able to process it in a certain way. You know, kind of the same. It's kind of built like a human. You can have all the information in the world, but who's going to tell you to use it for good or use it for bad? Probably your parents. So your parents are the one programming you to the way you're going to act. And I think that's what AI is right now in the state that it's in is it has access to all the information. It doesn't know how to use it. So the programmer has to help it determine how to use it in what way. it'll be interesting to see where it goes with, and apparently they're already making laws against it. Yay. Alright, what else is going on in March? Russian presidential elections, Putin wins in a landslide. I don't think anybody was surprised on that one. Uh, it was a big one, March 26th. The container ship collides with the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland, causing a total collapse of the bridge and death of 6 people. As I've heard, that bridge has not been rebuilt yet. I believe they pulled out some of the bridge out of the water, and it's going to cost in the millions, if not billion, to redo that whole bridge. So, tax dollars at work on that one, trying to get rebuilt, but think about the commute now people have to do, who would normally just take the bridge and be there in, 15, 20 minutes, probably taking about 2 hours to get around all that, and it's a mess. I did not hear it was any foul play or any weird conspiracies or anything. The ship just sort of veered off course and hit the bridge. Now, if you've heard anything else, please feel free to drop in the comment section, let me know, but that is what I heard from the recent reports that I heard about this. So, let's see what else was going on. We go into April, another magnitude 7.4 magnitude earthquake near Taiwan, sending tsunami waves to Japan. Again, President Slovakia elections are finalized. Peter Pellegrini is in there. April 8th, a total solar eclipse is visible across North America. Now, to my friends in the Midwest, you probably remember this a lot more than others. I believe it was most visible around that area going up into New England, I believe. So they got to see the total solar eclipse. We didn't get that great a look here in Orlando. We're actually up for a total one, I believe, in 2049 or so, if I'm correct on that. So you will have to kind of wait till then to see that. That. Let's see what else. South Korea legislative elections. A lot of elections. A lot of things were going on. Solomon Islands general election, Croatia elections. Yeah, there was just a lot of stuff going on. Panamanian election, Jose Raul Molino is elected president. So he'll be the one who's going to be arguing with Trump about this Panama Canal situation. So while I think this is mainly just a troll, uh, they'll have some lower negotiations on this, and honestly, we built the Panama Canal, and I think we did have it for quite a while, the rights to it, and then I believe it was Carter who signed it out over, and it's funny, he just died the other day, 100 years old, Jimmy Carter passed away, and now there's this fight to get the Panama Canal back. And I think it's a valiant fight because whoever controls that canal really controls the quickest passage through North and South America. So, you have the ability to stop boats, stop people from going that way, charge enormous fees to use the canal. Because if you got to go around the other way and go around South America, or if you're coming from Europe, you could probably get to Asia a little quicker going through the canal instead of having to go all the way around Africa and coming back around. So you've got shipping companies that save a lot of money using this thing. If someone were to take control of it who is not very friendly, they could shut it down or charge enormous fees to be doing this. So it's impeccable for us. I guess that's not the word, but it's imperative. There you go. For us to take control of the canal so that we can leave the free market going the way it's going. So that's the man to talk to, President Molino. That is the man to do it. So, Chad had their presidential elections. Macedonia, North Macedonia, to be specific, as their first female president of the country. Series of solar storms. So if your phone was messing up in May, that's probably why and what was going on. I'm trying to find something that isn't related to the elections that went on. Uh, more elections, more elections, more elections. May 30th, former US President Donald Trump is found guilty on 34 counts in his hush money trial. First time any American president had been found guilty of a crime. Okay, so on that note, yes, he was found guilty. He has not been sentenced. So he is not technically convicted yet. For all my lost callers out there. I don't believe he's technically convicted because you do have to go through sentencing for the crime. You're found guilty of it, but even that may get dialed back. I believe they're trying something there. So we'll have to see how that goes. More elections, more elections, more elections. Yikes. Pa, 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 pa. A lot of soccer tournaments were happening. We're in June. Um, let's see. I'm trying to find something that's July came up. Hurricane Beryl becomes the earliest Category 5 hurricane on record after devastating the island of Grenada. That was devastating. Hurricanes hit hard this year. There were quite a few that really nailed a few places and got really bad for a while there. And not good, not good. July 4th, United Kingdom general election. Sir Keir Starmer leads the Labour Party to a landslide victory, returning the party to government for the first time in 14 years. Yeah, can I say it? He's a dick, all right? That guy's an idiot. I don't know why they wanted him in there, but down goes. How fitting on July 4th. England gets creamed twice. Jeez, man. Ah, you had the French election that went terribly weird. No one quite knew who was really in power, and now they've had their prime minister pulled, and they're trying to get another one. It's like, damn, France is a mess right now. Uh, July 13th was the first assassination attempt at President Donald Trump as he is shot in the right ear as he held a rally near Butler, Pennsylvania. That was when everything started changing. That was when people were like, we're turning into a banana republic. Like, if you heard these type of stories in another country, you would be saying they need an intervention. They need somebody to go in and save them. So, yeah, that was when people started, like, really wondering, like, how bad was this going to get? And amazing he was only shot in the right ear. His famous chart, which I believe was a immigration chart, d saved the man's life. Unbelievable. And, yeah, that wasn't the only assassination attempt of this year. So, that was when people started, like, seeing, "Hey, it's not just conspiracies anymore. This got real. This is a mess. We need to figure out what's going on." And it pulled a lot of people in that were probably gonna sit out on this election. They probably were. Uh, Global IT outages impact variety of businesses and organizations across the world on July 19th. There were quite a few outages of IT. I can remember a couple of them because of the systems failing for airlines, and I know a few people who fly, so I hear about it. And it was really disturbing because it was like, if this could happen this easily, like, how quickly could people, like hackers and stuff like that, really just take down a lot of systems really quickly and really screw up a lot of stuff? It really got you into thinking, like, we could all be done pretty quickly. So, that was something that happened a few times this year, and I'm not gonna say it will never happen again because, you can build a new system, but there seems to always be a way to get around it. So, it's insane that, you know and it's so funny because back in the day, you woulda just said, "Oh, we'll just fly by hand signals or something, we'll get stuff around here." Now everything is connected. So something goes wrong, like, it goes wrong bad. So, that's crazy. And that happened a few times this year. Then we had July 21st. I remember this. President Joe Biden ends his candidacy with a with a tweet. That was so weird. But now we know what was really going on. It was everyone behind the scenes running all this stuff and maneuvering things, and that was crazy. What else did we have? July 26th to August 11th, the 2024 Summer Olympics are held in Paris, France. The controversial opening ceremony and the boxing match of Luca Hamori and Iman Khalif spark international debate. Well, really a debate. I mean, she has XY chromosomes. So she's technically a male. That was the debate. But yeah, the opening ceremony, I think, just rocked everybody. It was drag queens trying to do the Last Supper, and it was the burning building with Satan, and there was a horse going down the river. There was so much stuff going on that I don't most people didn't even know what it was. They were like, "What is all this stuff?" And it was really the people who just caught the flaming arrow and said, "This is what's happening. Oh my gosh, this is crazy." I really didn't see it till a couple days later, and I was just like, you know, it's a little unsettling was a lot of the stuff. It just didn't make sense, and it was really just bonkers. And, you know, what do people remember of that right now? I think they just remember more that that lady from Australia who was trying to do the kick dancing or what was it? Bebop dancing or whatever the hell it was. And it was like, 1, why is this even a sport in the Olympics? And 2, who the hell is this girl and what are these moves? It was like the kangaroo hop and all this other weird stuff, and she just did all these weird maneuvers, and then it comes to find out that she was on the committee to choose the person who was going to do it, so she basically chose herself or her husband chose her, and that was just an absolute mess because nobody remembers who the hell even won the damn thing, and all the memes of the, target shooting, holy cow. The one guy who basically just squinted an eye and shot the targets. And everybody was like, wait a minute. Can you do that?" Yeah, apparently you can do that. It was that good. And that's it. That's all anybody remembers. Nobody even remembers the opening ceremony anymore. Nobody even talks about it. So, it was just bonkers, and that was pretty much it. Let's see. Uh, trying to find out what was going on. What was going on? We go into August now. Um, just a lot of stuff moving around. Leader wise, uh, oh, this was something. August 14th, the World Health Organization declares Mpox, or as we like to call it, monkeypox. Uh, oh, just a second. There we go. Mpox, or monkeypox, as most people knew it, a public health emergency of international concern following the spread of the virus in the African country. So the WHO, the World Health Organization, was trying to make a pandemic happen again with this Mpox, and didn't quite catch didn't quite catch on this one. Da, 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 da. August 28th into September 8th, the 2024 Summer Paralympics are held in Paris, France. That one got a little more love, I think. I think a few more people were into that a bit more. Um, so we'll have the Winter Olympics in 2 years. Let's see where that's going to be at. Uh, pa- 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 we go into September. The Brazilian Supreme Court upholds a decision to block the social media platform X, also known as Twitter, over what the Brazilian government determined to be rampant disinformation and Elon Musk's failure to name a legal representative to the country. So there was a basically a blackout of Twitter in Brazil, which was crazy. And I believe they're still fighting that. I don't think they're back up in Brazil yet. So that's crazy stuff. Uh, Algerian elections. Da, 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 Um, September 15th, another attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Ryan Wesley Roth was captured and arrested, and a trial date has been set for 2025. September 17th into 18th. 32 people are killed and more than 3,200 are injured after pagers and walkie talkies used by Hezbollah of militants and medics explode in two massive cyber attacks. Israel is the presumed perpetrator. September 20th, Israel assassinates Hezbollah leader and 10 of the seniors in Beirut. And things they started to wind down a little once the leaders were taken out. It's still going on though. September 26th, Hurricane Helene, the deadliest Atlantic hurricane since Hurricane Maria, makes landfall in Florida as Category 4 hurricane. Death toll was 236 and left more than 685 missing. I believe we had to miss a show because of that. That was not fun at all. Not fun at all. And there was another hurricane that came through. October 7th, Hurricane Milton came through, and that was even worse. So that was crazy. The hurricane season was not very good. And, you know, it's the price you pay for living in Florida is really what it is. Um, what else was going on in October? Hurricane Milton. Oh, SpaceX achieved the first successful return and capture of the Super Heavy booster. That was the video you saw where the arms actually came out and caught it. That was actually pretty significant because they're getting better at being able to reuse these rocket boosters, which is then saving a ton of money to get them back into space. And if you could save the money, you could do it more times and you can get better at it. And that's what they're shooting for right now. Ba, 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 ba. November. We go into November, and November was it. I believe at the end of October, I was kind of even done with everything. Uh, but it was election time in America, and 45th President Donald J. Trump won to become the 47th president with his running mate J.D. Vance, elected for a second non consecutive term, the first candidate to do so since Grover Cleveland in 1892, and only the second in American history. And I think everyone was just thank the Lord this thing is over because it went on forever. Forever. And it it then began the complete collapse of the Democratic Party. Everybody was blaming other people or didn't know what the hell actually happened, and it really kind of broke a lot of them. Remember the shake of the head and the "We're not gonna touch men anymore." It was just absolutely crazy. It invigorated others. People were so excited. They thought, the world's gonna turn and the world's gonna change, and it has been. A lot of things are moving and people are coming to see President-elect Trump before he's even president. Like, I think this showed more than anything that nobody was really running the government for the last 4 years, and now we've actually got a leader in there, and now things may actually get churning and get moving, and we'll see how it goes. There is a little bit of infighting already, so do I They're gonna get everything they want done? No, not gonna happen. Um, but we'll see how much does get done and what gets changed, and then we just go from there. So that was November. Feels like so long ago. So weird. What else was going on? What else? November 26th, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announces that a ceasefire deal has been agreed to end fighting with Hezbollah in Lebanon. They're still working on one for Hamas, I believe. Uh, More elections into December. Ba, 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 ba. Just trying to find the good stuff here, or at least the interesting stuff. Okay. Um, da, 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 da. So that was mostly the elections and political stuff. And so that was, basically um what everybody expected, what was going on. Now, if you wanted to stay away from all that stuff and wanted to get into movies and stuff like that, well, it was an up and down year for 2024. There was some fun stuff, there was some not so fun stuff, and then there was just nah movies. So, um, the top grossing movie, I believe, was Inside Out 2. But in no particular order, we'll go through some of the top movies according to IMDb that happened this year. And I give you the best of my knowledge what these movies were and what they were about. So we had Dune Part 2, which is based off of the Dune series, which is based off of a movie from the 80s, which was based off of a book. Basically, kind of a space adventure. That's about it. That's all I got. I'm sorry, I wasn't really into it. It wasn't too much. The Brutalist, where a visionary architect and his wife flee post-war Europe in 1947 to build their legacy and witness the birth of the modern United States. Kind of an artsy movie. Adrian Brody's in it. It's actually out now. You can go see it. Kind of a immigrant story. Another one is Nosferatu, which just came out around Christmas. Um, Basically a gothic tale of Dracula, and I've heard good things about it. I've heard good things about it. So, The Wild Robot, which came out, I believe, over the summer. After a shipwreck, an intelligent robot called Roz is stranded on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, Roz bonds with the island's animals and cares for an orphaned baby goose. Heard some great stuff about it from people I know that went and saw it. So if you get a chance, I believe it's on I don't know. It's on one of the streaming services already, I believe. The Wild Robot. Go check it out. Let's see. Next was Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Warrior Furiosa's origins before her encounter and team up with Mad Max. So this is really again built off of the 80s movie. You'll hear that quite a bit as we go through these. Um Mad Max. So if you were into that, you probably might like this movie. I heard it was actually better than what people thought it was going to be. So you might want to watch it. You might not. So yeah, if you're into the it's a lot of repeats. So if you're into the original, go for it. We got a comment here from Mary Jade Skywalker. Love Wild Robot. So we gotta love Wild Robot. So definitely go check it out. I believe what Fubu or Voodoo movies. You can probably find it on there. Go give it a watch. Next was The Substance. I've heard great things about this and was trying to go see it in the theaters, and unfortunately, my theater did not still have it. So this is a story about a fading celebrity that takes a black market drug, a cell replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. Best way to describe it is kind of like Freaky Friday, only there's two of you. So Demi Moore plays the older celebrity who is trying to look young. And so she takes the drug and it creates a younger version of her that she can slip into and then she has to slip out of. And it's a really strange kind of sci-fi-esque movie, but I've heard very good reviews on it and I'm going to try to catch it when I can. So that is something The Substance to check out. It is R-rated, there is nudity in it, so if you're not into that, you can skip it, but it's an interesting plot line as we have a lot more older actresses in Hollywood now than maybe normally would be. You know, there was a time where a lot of them were a lot younger and they haven't been replaced yet. So it was a premise that was really kind of fun to watch. Next, we have A Real Pain. Mismatched cousins reunite for a tour through Poland, honor their beloved grandmother, but their old tensions resurface against the backdrop of their family history. Did not see it. I don't know. That could be an interesting story, especially if you're Polish. You may get to see some of Poland, and that might be fun to watch. So something to check out. Again, I didn't bring these up. I'll bring up some movies that I saw this year, but okay, next we got His Three Daughters. This tense, touching, and funny portrait of family dynamics follows three estranged sisters as they converge in a New York apartment to care for their ailing father and try to mend their own broken relationship with one another. Okay, so probably something for sisters to watch. His Three Daughters. There you go. The Outrun. After living on edge in London, Rona attempts to come to terms with her troubled past, hoping to heal. She returns to the wild beauty of Scotland's Orkney Islands, where she grew up. Okay, so this story I do know a little bit about the Outrun. I believe she is trying not to relapse, so she goes to Scotland, and there's some beautiful footage of it in the movie. But if you are touchy with that kind of subject, maybe past experiences with it, um, you could skip it. It's okay. But good movie to kind of if you have nothing to do for 2 hours and you want to watch something, it's on, go for it. Next one is Honora. I heard good things about this. Again, touchy subject matter, but we'll go with it. Nora, a young sex worker from Brooklyn, meets and impulsively marries the son of an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as her parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. So it's really a back and forth kind of Romeo Juliet kind of story, but I heard it was really good to check out. So I'm gonna skip over a couple of these if I don't quite know them. Uh, Conclave came out. Um, this is actually based on a book. So, when Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with leading one of the world's most secretive and ancient events, selecting a new pope, he finds himself at the center of a conspiracy that could shake the very foundation of the Catholic Church. This just came out about a month ago. I heard it's based on a book, and they may have changed the ending. So proceed with caution if you're gonna watch it. Um, yeah. Another big movie that came out was Wicked. That's actually out now because I have a friend who I think he's on, I think, watch number 7 of this movie. So, based off the play, kind of a pre-Oz kind of thing, looks like. I have no idea. I have no urge to go see this, but if you're into musicals and stuff like that, Wicked may be for you. That may be what you want to watch. Go for it. That was out earlier this year was The Fall Guy. Based on a, I believe, 1970s TV series. A stuntman fresh off an almost career-ending accident has to track down a missing movie star, solve a conspiracy, try to win back the love of his life while still doing his day job. What could possibly go right? Heard good things about it. Heard good things about it. It's a fun movie to watch. Kind of a no brain movie. You don't really have to think much. It's just explosions and stuff like that going off. So, if you want some history, there was Young Woman in the Sea, the story of competitive swimmer Gertrude Ederle, who in 1926 was the first woman to ever swim across the English Channel. Daisy Ridley was in it, but I heard it was a very good performance from her. So you're not going to get the Ray from Star Wars experience. And heard it was decent. So, but if you want to learn something and see some educational stuff, there you go. There's a great movie for you. Uh, the big movie that I thought should have been on here was Deadpool and Wolverine. We did a whole breakdown of the movie on Two Men in a Room. A great film if you're into the comic book thing. If you're into the Marvel stuff, if you're into superheroes, if you're not, some of the references might go over you, but the jokes will still kind of hit because they were basically pop culture jokes. They were kind of fun. And so other movies that came out that I thought honorable mentions and stuff. We Live in Time, which is Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I believe she hits him with a car, and then they end up meeting at the hospital, and they end up being into each other, and it's a really fun movie to sit and watch. Um, Another good one was, let's see, if you were into it, Gladiator 2 was out. Again, a lot of these movies were like meh. Venom: The Last Dance. Again, if you're into the Marvel character stuff, um, let's see what else was interesting. Heretic actually came out. This was an A24 movie. Um, Interesting movie. Gentleman has these two girls who come to his house, and he then proceeds to test them based on their, um, I guess, it's based on religious stuff, but basically, how much faith do they have? So it's kind of an interesting movie. Um, we talked about that one. Uh, uh, there were, I guess, as many duds as there were good stuff. I mean, there were some horrible movies this year. So let's get into the really bad stuff. Okay. So one of the worst ones for me was okay, so we got to vote for Gladiator 2, very good. Okay. Okay. So if you're into it, go for it. Check it out. One of the really rough ones to start the year off was the movie Argyle, which is basically the author of a spy book now gets thrown into the spy world and has to figure things out, and they have to help save her, and it really wasn't as good as everybody thought it was going to be. It was really just rough. Not even like a Lifetime rough, like even worse than that. So that was a bomb for this year. Another big bomb was the Joker Part 2 Adieu or whatever it was called. Horrible, horrible movie. I think honestly he just made it for the money and probably was contractually obligated to make it, but it's basically trying to be a musical. And it really didn't need to be made, but damn, money talks, I guess. So that was another bomb this year that really didn't need to be made, but it was made. Um Madam Web, we talked about a little earlier. That was not a great movie. If you needed to break up with somebody, take them to that because that was terrible. Another video game movie, Borderlands, that a lot of video game people didn't like. Another remake, The Crow, that was terrible. A lot of remakes and like part twos of everything came out this year, and unfortunately, they're gonna keep on coming out next year. So it's not gonna get any better, and you just got to kind of live with it because it's making these studios money, and it's the only way to keep some of these studios running. So they're just gonna kind of keep it rolling and see what they can do with it. Another movie that's making the news right now is It Ends With Us with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And apparently the two of them are just suing the crap out of each other. And who knows where it's going to end? I think it's more just for the public mess of everything and then to actually get any money or anything. It's just yeah. Uh, Megalopolis, I heard was meh, so. Again, Inside Out 2 broke records. So, it's I heard wasn't as cringe as everyone thought it was going to be, so if you like Inside Out and you wanna give Inside Out 2 a try, go for it. Um, I might even give it a whirl. I might give it a whirl. We'll see. We'll see. The let's see, what else came out this year that was even worth talking about? Huh. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Uh, One of the other bombs that I actually went and saw was the American Society of Magical Negroes, and it's as bad as you think it could be. It really was. It was a funny movie because the stereotypes are just crazy there, but, like, it wasn't anything that you really need to watch. So let me know, like, what was the worst movie? What was the best movie of 2024 that you could think of? Leave it in the comments there. Oh, there were so many just if you like action, and I know a few people who do, The Beekeeper was actually supposed to be a pretty good action movie. So and it should be on streaming services now if you wanna throw it on, go for it there. Did a Planet of the Apes movie come out this year? I think it did, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Um, I don't think anybody even remembers that coming out. Holy cow. Oh, man. Um, yeah, it was a meh year in film and TV and so stuff. I mean, there's hit and misses everywhere. Squid Game 2, just hitting Netflix. I actually watched this, what we're gonna call season, and it's not season 1. I think season 1 worked because everybody was at home watching it. I think everyone isn't at home forced to watch this thing, so it's not gonna have the hype that it has. It's interesting, but it ends on a cliffhanger. So, if you wanna wait till the next season to watch both seasons together, you can do that. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'd say, it's a fun thing to watch. 7 episodes, they're about an hour each, so if you wanna do a weekend to just watch that, go for it. Uh, and I think we pretty much went through, like, the best bombs and the best good stuff. Um, yeah, so 25 is pretty much going to be more of 24. There's just not much that's gonna be fresh and new. It's gonna be sequels and prequels and everything else, pretty much what we saw from this year. It's gonna be, I don't know if there'll be hits. Um, trying to see if there's anything exciting or anything that you'll just want to absolutely run to the theater for. January is a meh kind of month. You've got movies like Wolfman, Flight Risk, September 5th looks like something, but probably not. I need a better list on this. The big blockbuster that everyone's hoping for is going to be Captain America Brave New World, which comes out February 14th on Valentine's Day. Not sure why. I guess Black History Month, I guess. I don't know. Paddington in Peru. That'll probably be great with the kids. Um, Disney Snow White finally comes out in March, if it even comes out. I still think this could hit the wall. this movie could get pulled at the last minute and just put on D plus, and I don't think anybody would really shed a tear. So I think that may help ratings actually. Um, you got a Minecraft movie if you're into Minecraft. Lilo and Stitch. I believe this is a I believe this is a live action take on Lilo and Stitch. So that's gonna be something to watch. I'm not sure how a live action Stitch is gonna work, but okay. Another live action, How to Train Your Dragon from Universal. Again, it's just gonna be repeats of stuff and live action stuff and, you know, Jurassic World Rebirth, Smurfs movie, Fantastic Four, the Naked Gun redo, Downton Abbey's got a movie coming out, Downton Abbey 3, September 12th of next year. Um, yeah, like Black Phone 2, Mortal Kombat 2. It's just Now You See Me 3, Wicked for Good, which I guess is part 2 of the Wicked from this year, which was part 1. Zootopia 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Avatar: Fire and Ash, which is Avatar 3, I guess. So, yeah, again, next year is not gonna be super exciting for movie-wise. It's all basically repeats, sequels, because that's what makes the money. Alright, so I do have to switch cameras real quick. So, let's see. Think we got that? Okay, there we go. Alright, I'm back, everyone. Just had to switch the camera there. And move a few things. There we go. Okay. And I'm doing a bunch of stuff that I shouldn't. There we go. Yeah. So 2025 is going to be a blase blah kind of year. Not much of anything new or exciting. It'll simply be more stuff that's just sort of a repeat or, you know, stuff you've seen before. So, you know, nothing exciting there. Uh, what else can we talk about? How many people we have on? All right. There we go. Think where. There we go. Production, kids. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah. So we are looking at 10:37 on the East Coast, 7:37 Pacific time. I hope everyone's getting ready for their New Year's Eve. Hope they're having fun, doing exciting stuff. Um, and then you're probably not watching this show, or you may have it on in the background. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for going through this year with me. And so where do we go from here? Well, 2025, the inauguration of Donald Trump, January 20th. I think you'll start seeing the countries start to come together more. There may not be as much fighting. There'll be a little less on that mark. Um, it'll be interesting to see how Hollywood handles it because you know a lot of them were anti-Trump, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. So it'll be interesting to see. Disney is trying to take themselves out of the culture war. Um, they've made a few moves, they dropped a few projects. So will they completely be out of it? I don't think so. I think there'll still be, you know, built-in messaging into some of their movies, into some of their shows, but they're trying. And I think most companies are realizing, hey, there were a lot of people that voted more so in one direction. And so it's kind of, you got to follow the money. You got to, you know, get where the customer is. So I think a lot of them are trying to change the track and go in a new direction. And it's going to be hard because a lot of these pictures and television series usually take about a year or two to get fully written, produced, uh, edited, and then put on the screen. So you're seeing stuff that was basically brought up early 2023 or so. Some of these movies were in like what they call production hell, where they got held a couple of years. So some of this stuff, like I believe Snow White was actually worked out in 2021 or early 22. So some of this stuff is just getting flushed out through to the screens and to the theaters. And so don't be surprised if you still see some stuff that is like, wow, are they still making this stuff? It's like, yeah, they're still making it. It takes a little bit of time to go through and develop movies and get everything done. So give or take another year, you'll see that kind of stuff roll through and just grin and bear it at this point. I mean, I've noticed, you know, reading a Twitter um, forum, I guess, that a lot of people are kind of like, okay, the election's done. Let's move on from all this. Let's not just keep talking about this side, or let's keep talking about that side, or just bashing this or bashing that. They're really wanting to just move on and say, okay, well, what do we get out of this? And I think people are ready to kind of have a new chapter open for movies, music, and everything really. I think entertainment and its entirety needs to turn the page and create a new chapter. I know I really wish for like those like fun songs and fun movies where it was like, oh, good times and excitement and fun action and stuff like that, and not just like gritty hard stuff. You know, I think we've had a bit of it, like Die Hard. Okay, there's a debate: is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Well, Die Hard's a bit Christmassy, but it's just fun. Like it's fun to watch him, run around Nagatomi Plaza and do all this stuff and beat the bad guys. It was fun, fun action. We need to go back to that, bring that back, and some fun stuff. And, hopefully, most of the big directors see that as the better way to go, and just have fun with it, bring back good times. People have had a rough 4 years, almost 5. I mean, if you think about it, the the closures due to COVID started in March, I wanna say, of 2020. We're about to come on to 2025, and 5 years of going through all that. I think people are really, like, trying to do something different now, and they want a happier side to stuff and, feel honestly, it's just feel like something good's coming. And so, you know, I think entertainment can start bringing that back, and hopefully it'll put butts in seats in theaters, keep the theaters going. It'll bring back, people wanting the stuff, and then you can make it more and do that and have the money to do bigger and better stuff. It's a cycle with anything. If you have the momentum of people wanting it, can get the money to produce it. Then when they watch it, you get the money back. Nobody's watching it, you're just pretty much digging your own hole over and over and over again. And eventually you get to a point where you just run out of money and you're broke. And I think a couple companies are already starting to get close to that. So they'll hopefully change and move on and keep rolling through, and we'll get there. We'll get to the other side eventually. All right. So I'm going to take a breather. If anybody wants to talk about anything, go ahead, throw it up in the comments. Let me know what you want to talk about, and we'll give it a minute or two. And I can kind of stop and catch my breath here. All right. Yeah. So, let's get back into this. We've got about oh, 10 minutes till I believe the Brazil starts celebrating. So, I guess we're going to start wrapping this up and everyone can get back and go catch the fireworks either on YouTube stream or go outside your house, go see it, go do whatever. So I'm gonna start wrapping stuff up with a few little announcements, and then we'll close the show out and we'll wish everybody a happy new year and we'll kind of end it. So this show is said to be the last show of 2024, but it's actually going to be the last show of the Angriest Man in Orlando. And in perspective or respective sense, I'm taking off from this YouTube Rumble sphere that I've been in for about a year and a half. When I started this channel, there was a lot of stuff to be angry about. There was a lot of things that were, I felt, going wrong. And I wanted a place where I could just vocalize them and let everybody know who watched it what my thoughts were on everything. And so, um, I was able to do that at a small price, and it's been fun. It was fun to do, it was exciting, and, a lot of YouTube creators I talked to basically said, "As long as it's fun, go ahead and do it." You know, when it starts becoming hard or it starts becoming work or you just don't enjoy it anymore, um, just don't do it anymore because not only will it show on you, it'll show in your work and it'll show to the audience. And so, I was having fun with it, bringing up all kinds of weird topics. Like I've got the list for um, all the money wasted by the government this year, the Festivus list from Rand Paul. And I could spend another hour going through it, but, it's I give you some of the man, there was a lot of stuff that was just there was a Florida man who stole $8 million in COVID-19 relief funds to buy an island and more. Yeah. The Department of Energy spent 15.5 billion to push Americans towards electric vehicles they didn't want. There was a lot of money just wasted, wasted. And it happens every year, these reports come out, and I would encourage you to go check it out. Um, but more than anything, it's happening and hopefully it gets changed. But I feel the winds of change are coming. And so I don't feel as angry anymore. I don't feel as, I need to just shout from the rooftop that this is wrong. I don't feel like I'm not getting heard anymore. I believe people are listening. People are starting to see what was really going on with everything. And so I'm gonna personally take a step back. And so hold on, get to that second. I'm personally gonna take a step back and revisit private society. Won't be a public figure anymore. Um, I'll simply just be me. And I'm not saying I'm completely killing off the angriest man. Obviously, if things come back up that I'm angry about, I can always, revisit this show. But I think for all extensive purposes, this is going to be the last show for the angriest man in Orlando for some time. Um, I've got some other projects I'm working on that my time is, you know, not being spent on those and so much of it is being spent on this. And so I'm kind of wanting to reassess what I'm doing. So I'm pulling this show. I'm actually probably pulling 2 Men in a Room also, um, just because, I'm trying to focus my time in the best parts of my life that can actually really grow. And while this channel has, brought a lot of people in, it hasn't quite grown the way I thought it would have. So, I think it's best to just put this on, um, the back burner. And I don't take it lightly when I say it. I actually was thinking about it for, a little bit now and was going through the analytics of everything and looking at the numbers, and it just made a whole lot more sense to kinda let this thing kinda take its course, see where it goes, and then make a decision to keep going or not. And so, I'm taking the decision to kinda not. Uh, it's been fun. We've had a lot of fun discussions, brought up a lot of fun topics, um, fun things got done. Some of those movies I probably wouldn't have gone to normally, but I did it because I wanted to talk about it on here. Um, but there's a lot of stuff I still wanna do, and doing this show does kinda hold me back from that. So, where do we go from here? Um, I hope I gave some sound advice for what's coming up in '25, and I hope the advice in '24 helped everybody out in some aspect. Um, hope I didn't bring anybody down. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna wrap up and just kinda, let it be. Just let it be. Um, you know, uh, feel free to drop anything you want in the comment section. I always read every comment from all the comment sections. I try to reach out to the people I know from there and the people I don't. And so, yeah, this is gonna kinda wrap it up as the end of this chapter. Where it goes from here, I don't know. Things may fall apart completely. I may have to come back on and voice my concerns and stuff, but I think honestly the change is coming and it's coming in a good way, and I don't need to be there. I don't need to be there for it. So, I do wanna thank everyone for watching. I wanna thank everyone for sharing their thoughts on here. I wanna thank everyone who supported the channel, supported me. I wanna thank, you know, my co-host, Vernell. Um, thank you for, jumping on with me and going through this journey that we went through. And again, who knows? May come back later in a year or so, but I think honestly, it's run its course and it's time to let it be. So thank you everyone. I hope everyone had a great 2024. I hope the shakeup that happened, even if you didn't vote for it, see it as just kind of you got out of something that was really crappy. Like nobody knew what was going on at all with that administration. So we got into something really good. It may not be exactly what you want, but it's something a lot better. It's like getting out of that junk car that you were driving and getting into something new. And even though it wasn't exactly what you wanted, it's still better than what you had. So with that, yes, everyone, I hope you all had a great 2024 and I hope you have a great 2025. And you can always hit me up on Twitter, the Angriest Man in Orlando. Send me a message, send me a post, whatever you want. And I'll end it with that. Happy 2025, everyone. Hope it's a great year for everyone. And I think that's about it. We're not gonna end tonight like I normally do. I actually wanna end it in a different way because I think we're in a different time. We're in something that is gonna change for the good. and I won't have to be angry anymore. And I think it's gonna improve everybody everywhere. So with that, I will say this, good night and good luck.